Let's talk stage makeup. So, what is stage makeup? Stage makeup is anything that's going to either enhance an actor's appearance or change an actor's appearance. And why is it important? Well, number one, it characterizes. Rarely are you the same human as your character. And so it's going to put you in the right frame of mind to become them. But more importantly, it also restores the color and the form that are diminished by the bright stage lights. It's going to make your face visible, which helps you be more expressive, helps the audience read your expressions, and it also indicates performance style. Now, keep in mind that professional television and movie stars have their own makeup artists, but most theater performers have to do their own. They get instructed by the makeup designer, and then it is their responsibility to put their makeup on every night, which is why this is all really important. There are 6 elements of character analysis that you can think about when you're trying to develop a makeup plan for your character. And we can use the acronym HEARTH to help remember them all: heredity, environment, age, race, temperament, and health. We'll start with heredity. Heredity are inherited characteristics. This is most important for a show that features family relationships like The Sound of Music. Though I will say this is less important nowadays. We tend to stretch this a little bit more than we did maybe 20 years ago. Environment. Environment is several things because what is attractive depends on the time period. So that's one thing. In the late 1800s, it was really fashionable to have what we call a quote unquote peaches and cream complexion. And in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was very fashionable to have a really, really, really dark tan and to go to tanning beds and be super, super dark. Not so much anymore. You guys got smart. There are other things in your environment, such as inside jobs or outside jobs. A librarian's going to look different than the lumberjack. In addition, somebody that's wealthy versus somebody that's scraping by is also going to look a little bit different. Somebody who can shop and socialize all day versus a single working mom, their environments are not the same, and that's going to shape how they look. You also want to think about the part of the world you live in with the difference in sunshine, because somebody who lives in Florida is going to look a lot different than somebody that lives in, let's say, upstate New York. Age. When we think age, we think chronological age, but that's only part of the equation because apparent age is influenced by all your other hearth characteristics. Your heredity, whether or not you get prematurely gray hair or men go bald, whether or not you spend a lot of time outside and have sun or wind cause wrinkles. And then lastly, your health, because chronic health ages a person really quickly. Race, I'm not going to talk about all that much because at this point, it is much less common for actors to play members of other races. There are many shows where it doesn't matter what race you are, but generally, the shows where it does matter, you're going to find an actor that fits that race. Temperament is your personality or your emotional character. So things like frequent smiling might lead to crow's feet or wrinkles at the corners of your eyes, whereas if you frown a lot, you're going to have a frown line, that vertical wrinkle in between your eyebrows. If you express very little emotion and stay out of the sun and wind, you're going to have very few wrinkles. And the last thing is health. So health can be acute illness where it's temporary, flu, cold, seasickness, and other things. Or it can be chronic, where it's long term, like arthritis or asthma or AIDS or cancer. And if this is something that affects your character, you need to know the symptoms of whatever disease is involved to make sure you make it believable. Now, in order to really highlight these things, you want to know a little bit about your facial anatomy and the prominences, and depressions in your skull. So you've got your forehead, the superciliary arches between your eyebrows, your nasal bone, your eye sockets, your cheekbones, your temples that are up into the outside of your eyes, that area between your nose and your upper lip, your chin, and also the area underneath your cheekbones. And the way these are structured in your face is going to impact several things. You can really start to look at the shapes of the face. And And these highlights and shadows, they reveal that structure. And you can paint shadows and highlights where you want them and fool the audience into seeing shapes that are not really there. So, for example, if you have an actor who needs to play a character with a broken nose, you can actually use highlight and shadow to create that broken nose if the actor does not have one. So start to pay attention to the faces that you see. Look for the highlight that runs down the middle of your nose and the shadows that are at the sides. Look at the highlights on your eye, like where your eyebrows go. If you grin widely, you can look for shadows and highlights that define your smile. And something to keep in mind is that you never want to apply a shadow without a highlight. Um, Shadow and only shadow just basically makes your face look dirty. And it's the highlights catching the light from the stage lights that actually define what you want your audience to see. So just remember that when you're trying this out, applying makeup, whether it's for daily use or for theatrical use, is trial and error. And the last thing to remember is that dark colors recede and light colors advance.